You're listening to the Tao of Indifference, sex, dating, and relationship advice for an indifferent world. For more advice and tips, check out taoofindifference.com or follow us on Twitter at indifferent_D.
Hello listeners, and welcome to the Tao of Indifference. I am your host, Demetrius. Today I am joined by a very special guest. She's my friend, but also more importantly, she is a psychotherapist.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. She recently appeared on Loveline. She is a frequent guest on Dr. Drew on Call on HLN TV. I think that all is correct.
Yeah, good job.
And look, Emily Roberts is here. Emily Roberts, what's up?
Hey guys. Dee, thank you for having me. I'm so
you.
excited to be here.
Thank you for letting me record in your fancy studio.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Today we are going to tackle the topic of how to be confident on a date.
We've been on lots of dates between you and I. We could probably say that we've dated
everyone
in Manhattan. No, like half.
Yeah. I've got like 1/3 of Brooklyn covered, I think.
I've got a little bit of Brooklyn, more Manhattan. Yeah.
You're a Manhattan girl. That's just how it is.
Sort of. Well, okay, so we were talking about this, and we were talking about how we wanted to give people like some really good advice about how to feel confident on a first date, and like because we've dated a lot, and because we're, you're kind of the expert in dating, and I'm the expert in understanding people's brains, sort of. Didn't always work out on my dates, but I think that together we can talk about what we look for and what's really, what we can look for from an outside perspective, I think, on what makes people attractive. When you're confident, you're attractive. And I find that a lot of people come to me and ask me questions about how can I be more attractive and be more confident on first dates or second dates or third dates, because they just feel like kind of bad about themselves after being, almost rejected, or they say that they're rejected and stuff like that. So I think it's important for women and for men to learn, what's normal, I guess. What is confident, what is attractive.
Right. So you mentioned about being attractive or feeling attractive.
It's all about feeling.
It's all about the feeling.
Yep.
So it has less to do with, say I'm not a model.
You know what? I'm not a model either. But sometimes I feel attractive when I go on dates. But it doesn't have to do with the other person. It has to do with me.
Got it. So you think that feeling attractive is very important to the confidence?
Yeah, I think like before you do anything, before you even say yes to the date, or before you head out the door, it doesn't matter what purse you have. The guy that you're going on a date with isn't going to look at that. And if he does, then maybe you should probably check his profile again and make sure you're on the right site if you were on a dating site. It doesn't matter necessarily. I mean, have your confident outfit ready, the one that makes you feel good. But also, who are you? Like, have a conversation. What are you looking for? What do you deserve before you go out there? Do you want to just hook up with somebody? Do you want to go on a date, or deserve to be treated with respect? Yeah, with respect. Like, what do you want? What are you going out there to receive from somebody else? And what are you going out there to give? You're going to go out there, have a good time. That means you want to, give a little bit too. Not your body, not your genitals, not your, but give as in you want to have a good time with them. You want to have a good conversation. You want to leave there feeling full, not empty, if that makes sense.
Or drained.
Drain's a better word. Yeah, drain's a great word.
I've definitely been on some dates where I felt drained afterwards.
And one of the things I used to practice before I would go on dates would be, I would kind of almost meditate, not like in a weird way, but just kind of talk to myself like, okay, before I leave the house, what am I looking for? Like, just got to get my priorities clear. Am I looking for a good time? Am I looking for somebody who has a couple qualities that I want? Am I looking to just have fun?
Right.
And I'm really open to meeting someone new. I had almost an intention. Otherwise, I would sometimes go out there and be like looking for my ex-boyfriend, essentially, in this new person. And that just was a headache for me and probably for that guy too. So once I started to get clear on my priorities for why I was leaving the house and, spend an hour and a half getting ready, that's my time. And that's, why am I going to waste that time not having a good time? And if the date ends bad, well, I learned something, I learned something about myself.
You say that you were a confident dater at all times?
I've learned to become a more confident dater. Not at all times. Things can certainly throw you off, but as I practiced some of my own work on realizing like what I wanted, and when I'd come home from dates that ended bad, instead of being like, oh my God, I'm going to call Seamless and order a bunch of cookies, or, like OD on the Ben & Jerry's. Yeah, you can. You can Seamless cookies.
Oh man, why would you tell me that?
Well, I mean, that was kind of like my go-to. After I would go on dates, I would actually use them as assignments. So if they were not so great or they were really great and I'd come home and I'd come home, I would kind of journal about it and be like, what did I learn about myself from this date?
Right.
What did I learn about what I want, and is this person close to something that I want? Did I have a good time? What was good about tonight? And the reason why I feel it's important is because dating is an assignment for you. It's trying to find, I mean, for everybody, not just me, for everybody. There's a lot of people out there, and if you can learn from each person that you meet something more about yourself to make you feel more genuine and more authentic with yourself, that confidence radiates when you go out into the world. So that's the generic, that's kind of like the heady version of what I do with dating, and then I can get to the real nitty gritty. That's the heady part. That's for all you guys who are...
So how would you go about building confidence if you're starting from a place of very low to no confidence in yourself?
Before the date?
Just before not even a date, but dating. When you're starting to date, maybe
that's a great question.
Had a breakup and like you're not confident about dating anymore because it's been so long.
Okay, so that's an awesome question. One of my good friends just moved to the city and is having a hard time getting on the sites and having a really challenging time feeling secure with who she is and in the city. I mean, and I think this goes for any city you're living in, like going out and starting to date again, whether you're getting set up on a date or you are going online and searching. Before you even make your profile, before you head out the door, what I would suggest is getting real with yourself. What do I want in a future partner? You can be superficial if you want, but what do I want? But I would suggest trying not to be. What do I want? Make a list of like 20 things you want and add in how you want to feel with that other person. Right. So if you go out on a date, you're kind of looking for someone to see if you connect with them. And if they make you feel some of these feelings, I'm not saying like flutter, like in love completely. This is a first date, but like, I want to feel like I'm having fun. I want to, feel at ease. Maybe it's not the first, but you're still looking to find somebody like this. So when you're clear about your priorities and you're clear about what you value too, it sounds super counselor of me, and I don't mean to be so specific, but
that's
like,
fine.
but if you're broken down, but if you're broken down, and I was totally here when I moved to New York. Oh my God, remember you had to help me with a lot of this stuff. Seriously, y'all, he did. I will tell you, I had to get clear about what I wanted. Sometimes I just was only able to say, I really want to have a good time and meet someone who makes me laugh. Done. You know what I mean? But I had to get clear on what I wanted, and I also had to talk myself up. Yeah. So that would be like the second thing. Whether you're a guy or a girl, it's not like you're walking and looking in the mirror and being like, all right, you got this. You're hot. You're awesome. You got this. You go, boy. Giving yourself a fist pump and then breaking the mirror or something like that. But really writing down, like, who am I? What do I have to offer? It may sound super conceited, but you're doing this by yourself. What do you have to offer this other person besides what's in between your legs, right? Yeah. And being completely honest. I'm a good listener. I'm a good communicator. I can be really fun and spontaneous. Remind yourself of these good qualities that you have that make you who you are. And you'll walk out the door and people will sense that confidence from you. It's true. Also smile. I mean, that sounds super generic, but when you smile, actually from statistics and a lot of research, it shows that parts of your brain get lit up and then you actually start to feel a little bit more confident too. Yeah. Plus the people around you would prefer for you not to be such a negative Nancy, so smiling will help them feel confident too.
I think I've read that a ton of times, where it's positive body language makes you more attractive to people, and it makes your own, like, you feel better about yourself if you sort of like stop slouching and smile and stand up straight and all that.
Certainly, and I think it's also you checking in with yourself when you check in with yourself, it's almost like, okay, we've got this. Like your outer self and your inner self connect a little bit more, and you're more mindful of who you are. I think that's a good way. So that's a couple different tools that I've used in the past, but those are ways that I felt more confident going on dates.
Sure. For me, it was I approached all dating, like when I was dating and I had a very specific goal in mind. I always dated with a goal in mind, whether I knew it or not. And whether it was just to have a good time, to try to sleep with someone, to build a relationship. I went in with that goal, but I also had the very, very specific understanding that this could just not work out.
That's a great point. One of the things that helped me feel less like rejected, I think, and more, because I don't think rejection's real. I wrote a blog post about that. Yeah. And the truth is we've kind of created rejection in our mind to make us feel worse about something not working out. Yeah. When the reality is, I started to do that too. After I'd go on a few dates and I was like, this isn't working out, or this guy is totally not for me, and I could figure that out in like 5 minutes. Yeah. What a blessing in disguise, right? If I realized it super early. And I wouldn't say like
Blessing in disguise.
Blessing in disguise, yeah. But truthfully, it's like, okay, great. Now I know this guy's not for me. That's a fish I've met, and I'll put you into the other, aquarium. Not my aquarium, right? You're not coming over to my house, right? Yeah. And so, I do feel like when you go out there and you meet people who aren't for you, it's almost like, okay, thank you. I'm so excited. I've learned something else about myself, which is why I was talking about the journaling, right?
Yeah.
Because, and it doesn't mean you have to have a diary, guys. Like, don't think about that. But even making some notes about like, this is why I didn't feel.
So should I get rid of my diary?
You should lock it up, have your little code, hide it under your mattress. But journaling about it can be really cathartic also, sure. Because you're like, what did I learn about myself from this interaction? Right? I mean, a lot of stuff comes up for you. But that's the truth. If you go out there thinking that I'm going to be rejected, you will probably be rejected. You're putting it out there. If you go out there saying, I'm going to learn something about myself tonight and I hope I have a good time, it's more likely that you're going to. And instead of coming home and, like I said, ODing on cookies and Netflix, I would take the time to either A, talk to a good friend about it, or talk to myself and write it down and say, okay, here's what I'm learning about myself from this situation. What did this person evoke in me? Or why do I never want to go on a date with somebody who says these things in their profile again,
Oh, yeah. There were plenty of dates where I was like, now I know that if she likes Ayn Rand, she's going to be a terrible date for me.
Not always, but yes, you're more specific. Okay, yeah, there's patterns. There's patterns.
For me specifically, it was definitely I was like, I guess that makes sense.
And I think the other thing is if you get your hopes up about somebody after the first date, which always used to happen, say you don't hear from them right away. I used to find myself, and this, I'd be like, oh my God, do I text him? Do I not text him?
Yeah.
I used to find myself being like, why the hell are we playing games, right?
Yeah.
I think, and I love your thoughts on this too. Like, if you have a good time, text them and say you had a good time. And if they're not, and not be insecure about it. Like, act as if you're confident. Not cocky, but act as if you're like feeling secure about yourself. Hey, I had a really good time on that date. Because you know what? You don't want to waste a lot of time dating necessarily other people and be like, oh, I'm out tomorrow and I'm super busy, but maybe next Friday or the third Friday of the month, I can see you again. If you feel a connection, go with your gut. And if it doesn't work out, thank goodness, because he wasn't the right, or she wasn't the right person for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now versus, 3 months of like stalking them online and their Instagram and stuff. Like, don't waste your time. Be you.
I think for me, especially, I was very much a very forward person. Mm-hmm. And even when people weren't, I wasn't a good fit for them, they weren't a good fit for me, they always appreciated when I was like, listen, I'm interested. And they would say yes or no, not really. But you get a much better response than if you sort of are playing hard to get, but you're really interested, but in the end they're not. And there's always that weird back and forth. Like, if you just tell somebody, hey, had a really good time, it's so much better than
hope to see you soon.
Because that sounds like it's too wishy-washy.
Well, it's too indifferent.
It is.
Indifferent _D at Twitter. You can tweet us.
Yeah.
And
you can tweet me there.
Yeah, you can tweet him there, right?
What's your Twitter? It's
at Guidance Girl MEM. So the Guidance Girl was taken. So at Guidance Girl MEM. So yeah, you can always tweet us for questions. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah.
Confidence.
So I think it has to come from really, no one else can make you feel confident.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Self-confidence.
But a lot of people are like, well, I've had women and men ask me, well, if someone's rude to me or someone that says I'm hot or someone gives me compliments, it makes me feel good. Of course it does. Makes me feel good too. Yeah. But I feel like you have to walk in there with a level of A, understanding what you want, or B, pretending like you feel confident and talking yourself up. Because the truth of the matter is, if you come in there and just expecting someone to make you feel good about yourself, it's not gonna work out. They can feel I can feel that from a mile away, and I'm just observing a date.
Yeah. Someone told me that you should approach a first date the way you would a interview for a job that you think you're an absolutely great fit for.
Yeah.
So the odds are maybe you won't get the job, maybe you will, but if you approach it like I deserve this job, if you come in with the dating confidence of I deserve to have a good time with this person's probably going to like me. I'm awesome.
I think that's a great piece of advice, because also if you go in for a job interview and you find out that it's a bilingual position and you're not bilingual, right? Or that's being silly, but true. Also, if you go in and you say, I'm looking for this job or this person that, is free a few nights a week, and the person is, someone who's maybe working 90 hours a week, trying to make their career, their entrepreneurship, whatever. That might not be the right person for you because that's not the right fit. It's not the right fit. It's not rejection. It's not the right fit. Yeah. So what, you're going to stay at home while this person's working all the time if that's what you're looking for, or you're going to try and learn another language? I mean, it's going to be stressful. So looking at it from that perspective is good. I like that a lot. So the advice is going on there with I deserve this job.
Yeah. And if you go there and suddenly you realize, oh, this isn't a good fit for me, that's okay.
Okay.
It wasn't going to be a good fit.
I like it.
Yeah. The only reason I thought of it is because I think when I started writing my blog, I was on a job search. And I was like, oh, this is just like dating. This is so uncomfortable sometimes.
It's so uncomfortable sometimes. And it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared. And it's okay to even say that on a first date. I think that the genuineness, I mean, obviously don't tell them your whole story, but, you know, I like when people are like, gosh, I was really nervous to meet you. Oh my God, you just broke the ice. Yeah. It does not make you look like a baby. It does not make you look unconfident. It makes you look like actually more confident because you're expressing yourself. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So everyone, anyone who is not completely jaded about dating is going to have some nervousness if they're meeting someone that they...
And if you don't, it's probably because you're a psychopath, and so I don't want to date you anyways. Let's be honest, right? If you're too like, I'm so comfortable, this is so easy. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, but people pretend. Well, I think guys pretend that they're more comfortable than they are in dates. For me, I remember when I used to pretend I was like, oh yeah, I'm unfazed. It's like, really? Are you sure? Because we're in a really crazy, like, intense environment. I'm like, yeah.
This is normal. Yeah, that girl over there. Yeah. I didn't maybe go on a date with her a couple of weeks ago.
That actually has.
I know it has. I know.
Did I ever tell you that I went on a date with you? This is the specific time. This was years before. I was like 21 and I went on a date and the girl was like, hey, do you want to go out in Williamsburg? Perfect. Why not? She's like, hey, do you want to stop at Pete's Candy Store? It's a bar in Williamsburg. I was like, that sounds great. She's like, all right, let's go there. And do you remember the televangelist Tammy Faye Baker? This is related.
Okay, pop a little bit. Yeah.
So she has a son who is also a preacher, and he used to do like cool hipster like church sermons at Pete's Candy Store. This girl took me on a date to a church event.
So
and
perfect
I was
example.
So uncomfortable.
Perfect
so
example of if you go on a job interview and they don't speak your language, and that's so true. And she could have been hot as hell, but wow.
And I was like, I was playing confident when I was completely uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, if you guys could see me right now, my mouth is like open because I cannot believe that someone would do that.
It was so great.
Wait, well, you know, for her, I guess she was really trying to see if you were into her faith.
She really was. That was one of my funniest dates.
That's a great story.
Because I went in maybe too confident. I should have said, where are we going?
Yeah. You know, but I think it's so great when you can be genuine. I think that's so confident. Genuineness is confidence. Yeah. Or authenticity maybe is a better word, because if someone's saying, you know, I don't know the neighborhood that well, or I haven't been here before, what's good? And you maybe been there. That's opening up a dialogue that says, hey, I want to hear from you. Yeah. You know, and I really value and respect when people ask good questions, because I don't personally on a first date want to be the first person to, you know, I don't want to be the boss. Yeah. But I want to have some say. Yeah. Right? I also like it when people are open with their emotions, because it helps me not super, oh my God, I've had those dates. Oh my God, I've had those dates. Yeah. Not super, you know, I don't want to know their life story.
But just open to express themselves. Yeah. I don't want to go to this bar because I might run into my ex-girlfriend there.
Okay, maybe. Oh, you know what? I know. I would not like that, because I'd be like, let's go in. I want to see what she looks like. But we're girls. Come on. I might edit that a little bit to say, okay, I don't want to go in that bar because, I have not had good experiences there. What about this one over
perfect,
there? Yeah. Yeah. I've never had a great service there, or something like that. You don't have to tell them why. Good. But I feel like, you know, it's really important to go in there with this honest approach to dating, because at some point people are going to find out. Don't lie. Don't be like, oh yes, I love Korean barbecue if you cannot tolerate it. You know what I mean? That's small, but like, don't lie about even bigger things, like, oh, you know, I'm traveling a lot this week. I have a job. Eventually, you guys are going to connect on social media. I can Google anyone. You can Google anybody. Yeah. The worst part is a liar, because even if you're nervous, try not to lie. We can find it out. Yeah. I've never been in a serious relationship before. You find out he's like a wife and 4 kids. You know, stuff like that happens.
It does happen.
So try not to lie, because when you lie, even if it's about something super small and minor, like you know a lot about wine and the waitress brings a wine list and you don't, it's like, I don't really care if you know anything about wine. I honestly don't. But like, don't tell me you do, because now you look like a tool.
And you don't want to lie to impress someone, because if they
it shows you're insecure. It really does show, to me at least, and to some smart girls and guys out there, that someone's being insecure.
Yeah.
Also, don't talk a lot about what you do in a way that is like, I'm so important. Don't be a narcissist.
Yeah.
Even if you are a narcissist, try not to be one.
Or not even what you do, but who you know, or anything like that.
Oh my God, that's the worst. So I went on a date with this guy once. And this brings up two of my points about confidence on a first date. I guess I just moved to the city and he was trying to impress me, I guess. And we went to this really nice restaurant. And of course there was a wait, you know, even though they made a reservation, of course there was a wait. That's okay. You know, you just hang out at the bar, whatever. I felt like I was on an episode of Seinfeld or something. I mean, honestly, I didn't know if I was getting punked. What's going on? The guy was like throwing a fit with the hostess. Like, we've been waiting for 10 minutes. I come here all the time. Do you know who I am? I don't even know who you are. I don't even know your last name, dude. I don't know who you are. You're nobody. Yeah. You're just another person. He was rude to her. I felt uncomfortable. Like, I had to say I'm sorry to her for this guy. I don't even know his last name. Yeah. And he was just talking about how important he was. Oh my God. I wish I could have ended that date, like, when it first started, but I was hungry, so I went with it. It was good food, let's be honest. I
mean, once you've been waiting for 10 minutes, you gotta eat.
No, I mean, it was longer than that, but truthfully, like, the way that he approached and treated other people was such a sign of insecurity. When you're acting arrogant and you're acting like a dick, or if you're a girl and you're acting like negative and complaining about the service, oh my gosh, there's nothing that's unattractive. Yeah. It doesn't make, if you can be empathic, like, oh, you know, sorry there's a wait, Emily. I usually come here and there's not a wait, but hey, you know, it is what it is. It's a restaurant. It's a nice restaurant. It's busy. Oh my God. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being normal. Like, don't act like you're important. You're not that important. You're just another person on the face of the earth, you know? Yeah. I think that is such a big turnoff, and it shows me that someone's super insecure. Arrogance is not insecure. Or is not secure, excuse me.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Cockiness is not confident. Hashtag cockiness is not confident.
I like that you did the...
I did the hashtag. I did it. Yeah. But he was so rude, and he was also thought that he was more important than, say, the people that were next to us. What? Like, I'm not going home with them. No way. And I didn't.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. I was so turned off by this first sushi roll that... It was before we even got food. Okay. Anyways.
All right. What else?
Okay. So, one of the other things I would say, if you're trying to be confident while you're on the date, would be... Oh, okay. One of the things that bothers me, I guess, as a girl being on dates, is when a guy... Oh, there's so many things. I'm serious. I just keep thinking about some of my old dates. Like when a guy would be like, oh, let's go to this bar, or let's meet here. And it was... And I use the word literally very loose, no, very specifically, okay? Behind his apartment or on the same street. I'm like, okay, dude, like, it's clear that you're trying to take me home after this, even if you weren't, like, it makes me uncomfortable now. Yeah. So try and, like, ask the girl, I think, especially if it's, like, a first date, is there a place that you like to go? Here's a few of my suggestions. Just try to make it a little bit outside of your, you know, especially if it's your comfort zone. It's the bar you go to every night, too, or the place where everyone knows your name, like your Cheers. Like, that's weird for her. Like, she's going to feel insecure on the get-go, right? I've seen guys take the girls to the bar that we go to a lot.
Yeah, I was just hanging out with one of those guys.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to name his name.
Yeah. But the truth...
Like his first date was at his Cheers.
Yeah, but I think it makes the girls so uncomfortable. It shows me that you don't have you don't have a range. You're not willing to get uncomfortable for me. Yeah. Dude, I'm getting uncomfortable for you. Go out and meet me at a bar where your friends aren't at to judge me. Yeah. Come on. That's the worst. Sorry, whoever that was, I have some issues. I'm going to have to talk to him.
You should know who it is. I'll tell you.
I think I know who it is. Yeah. So that's one of the things. Get out of your comfort zone, too, in order for her to feel comfortable, or vice versa. If it's your girl and you're taking her to a place where you know your friends might show up, or you're taking her or him, whoever you're going on a date with, to a place that is like a couple streets near you. I mean, get a little bit wider range of where you should be, especially if they're coming from a distance, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's important. Be a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and that shows you that you can feel confident on a first date.
Yeah. I think if you're going out of your comfort zone and you're like, well, I don't know any places,
that's Yelp. Awesome.
Just Yelp it.
Yeah, but say that too. Be like, you know, I don't really know this area very, very well. I know that this place is good. Date, Ask your date, or you guys can search together. That's a bonding moment too, guys. Like, I went on a date with this guy, and we went to an area that I wasn't familiar with that he had heard was good. It was a bar that he had heard was good. And we had a great time. And afterwards, when we were looking for something to eat, he was like, I'm actually not that familiar with this area. Are you? I'm like, no. So we wound up, talking to people at the bar and Yelping it. And you know what? I didn't go home with him at the end of the night necessarily. I didn't actually, unfortunately. It was pretty hot. But okay, anyway, so I didn't go home with him, but we actually were able to, we had a better time when we both were on the same playing field. Like, oh, you like pizza? So do I. Let's go to this particular place. Look, it's rated like on this. Great. I think that was awesome because I didn't look at him as being super like conceited about it. Oh, I know this great restaurant. We're really close to my apartment if you want to freshen up.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but that was a good date.
I always know of at least one date place, like if I'm in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you can, if you're at a bar and you're having a good time and you ask your bartender, it just makes you more relatable. Like you're a human. Like you're like,
yes.
Hey,
oh my God. Don't be afraid to ask for directions.
Yeah.
Also, if for guys and girls, don't pretend like you know it all because you don't. And that's so genuine and authentic. And when the other person can see that, it makes you look like a human. And they're going to be more likely to want to date a human instead of a robot or someone who thinks they know it all. That is so annoying. Also, the complainers. I view a lot of dates, right? I kind of observe a lot of dates. I know a lot of people who go on dates. One of the things that I see women and men do, like that guy that was telling you to at the restaurant complained the whole time. When girls and guys complain, it is the biggest turnoff ever. Like you can have judgments for sure. That's fine. But complaining and being judgy about things is so annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying for me as a patron to listen to, but it also, your date's going to be like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? It makes him or her feel bad about it, especially if they pick the place.
Oh, yeah.
And even though it's not their fault, they feel bad about it. So save your judgments for your best friend or your girlfriends or whatever, or your guy friends.
But try to tell the story about the date after the date, not during the date.
But try to look for the positives because that's going to make you look and feel more confident too. It doesn't mean you have to be fake. Like if your steak comes out and it's completely, rare, you can be nice about being like, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry to bother you, waiter. Could you please heat this up? Instead of being like, wow, they should totally have their act together, et cetera, et cetera. That just makes you look,
it's
bad, really
bad. It's not
bad.
the behavior of someone who's confident.
That's a great way to put it. It's not the behavior of someone that's confident. That's good, Dee. Way to reframe it for me. Thank you. Yeah, it's not. It's not. And so I think that the biggest thing I could say is try and be positive. Look for the positives. If there's a game on and you don't know anything about the game, why don't you ask? Oh, I don't know anything about this. Guys like to teach and girls like to teach. If you're like, I don't know anything about this whole thing in the news and I know about it.
Yeah.
I want to feel like an expert sometimes. And if I don't know anything about the game that's going on that everyone looks like they're going crazy over, hey, what's that? What's going on over there?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I want to know. And you telling me about it makes you look more confident too.
I think the undercurrent of all this was like an earnestness. Like if you're just
authenticity,
authentic, you are confident when you're just real about who you are.
And it can be super awkward at first. Like don't hesitate to feel like, why am I doing this? Oh my God, Emily and Dee were telling me to be authentic and it feels weird because you know what? A lot of times we're not authentic with ourselves. And we live in this world where sometimes if you are too open or too vulnerable with people, you get hurt.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that you go on your first date or your third date and be like, here are all my dirty secrets. Here's my trauma history. Here's what I like and don't like. I'm allergic to peanuts. Okay. That's maybe something you could say. Yeah, you could say that on the first date. But the truth of the matter is be authentic as best as you can. And it might feel uncomfortable for a little bit, but it will feel so much better later on when you get home. You're like, I did the best I could. I was me. If you're not authentic, you're going to go home and be researching the stuff that you said you were.
Yeah.
It's going to make you more anxious and then you're not even going to have a good time the next time you go on a date.
Yeah.
So I think that you're right. The underlining issue for a lot of people is they don't know how to be authentic and genuine, but there's nothing more attractive than someone who is real.
Yeah. And I think I guess it's important for me to say that when you're authentic, it doesn't mean that you're going to always get the person. Like you're not always going to get them, but it's going to be a really great way to weed out the people who aren't for you.
But you know what? You're not going to get the people who you don't fit with. Going back to what we said before, like if you're really authentic or you're trying your best to be authentic, and that means just being real with yourself and with other people, you're right. You may attract some people who are not right for you. And that's why I said, get out the journal, start writing this stuff down because what are you learning from that person? That person probably wasn't the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And when you're real with them and they're not the right fit for you, you recognize that not everyone's going to be that way. And you're going to attract the right person over time. You will attract the right person over time, especially if you're real with yourself.
Yeah. You
cannot fake to yourself that this person's good for you. You can, but then you're going to be in a really unhappy relationship or dating cycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. The thing that I was the least confident about is the second date. Because the first date is... So how do I... Say I've gone on a first date. I think I've been confident. I think I've done everything that you advise. How do I remain confident moving forward? So
well, know that both sides, I think, are going to be equally nervous and excited, right? Okay, great. So this person likes me or seems to like who I was on the first date. If you're authentic, then they really like you, the real you. And then on a second date, it's, I think going in with it, like, I want to have a good time with this person rather than I need to take her home or I need to take him home or we have to hook up tonight or she better call me again. This is just an extension of the first date. Right. Pick up where you left off. You told me you were interested in X, Y, or Z. Hey, how's that going? How's work going? Ask genuine questions to get to know them a little bit further. Plus, it's an awesome opportunity to see if they were really being authentic, if you remember what they were saying on the first date, right? Yeah. So you told me you were interested in, like, climbing. Have you heard about this climbing place in Brooklyn, et cetera, et cetera? She's like, oh, I just say that to everyone on first dates or whatever. Then you're like, all right, this girl's maybe not the one for me. I only say that because I was talking to a girl recently who used that line, and I'm like, girl, you haven't been...
Wait, really?
Yeah. You have not been rock climbing ever in your life. Don't tell a guy that you're interested in that. You're going to start trying. Yes, terrible, see? Yeah. But see, guys are like...
You're going to attract rock climbers.
Yeah. Or, but also have maybe a fun date for the second date. It doesn't mean you have to go out of your way. The second date, in my opinion, should be fun. Don't put a lot of pressure. Don't go to the, best restaurant. Necessarily make it easy. Make it feel easy for you. Make it feel easy for them. Maybe it's a place that is, has an activity. Yeah. But that way you can get to know them on a more authentic place too. Like if you take me to a pool hall or something like that, we don't have to play pool, but we can watch you play pool. And if we play and I don't know how to play, how great is that? First of all, you can teach me how to play. Yeah. Or you can be like, I don't know either, let's get a lesson, or have someone come, not really like a real lesson, have someone tell me, but it's fun, you're doing something together. Yeah. I think the second date should just be, try and look at it as fun. And if it doesn't work out, it's just the second date. Yeah. But it's a great opportunity for you to learn more about that person to make sure that they were being true on the first date. Yeah. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I also think that when you're going on a second date, it's like, great, I can maybe make a friend. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to make a lover. But the second date's where you get an opportunity to learn a little bit more information about them. So what I would also do is I would make sure that you kind of, before you go on the second date, be sure you check in with yourself about how much you want to give, how much you want to say. Sure. Like a lot of times people say too much information. I do not want to know your whole life story, by the way, on your second date, and neither do you. That's like a lot for someone to hold on to. Tell you about what you do, more about what you do, tell me about what you've been up to, maybe a little bit about your childhood, that's fine. But I don't need to know about everything. That's too much information, and it makes people uncomfortable. Yeah. Even if they act like if they act like they want to know everything, get the hell out. That's weird. Yeah. It is. I mean, that is too much information for one person to take on. And I'm a therapist, and I'm telling you that. Right? I don't want, if someone comes to my office even and says, here's my whole life story, I'm like, hold up. No, you cannot give me all that right now. Because you don't know me that well either. Yeah. It's not fair. It's not a fair transaction. So try and, keep it, you can go a little bit deeper, but keep it a little bit still surface level.
Sure, yeah. If it took you, say, 21 years to get all of your experiences, you should not be able to easily give them out in 21 minutes,
Yeah, and watch the drug and sex talk on the second date. Really? Actually, yes, I'll tell you why. I think a lot of times people get uncomfortable and they start talking about their past, like, oh, this one time I hooked up at this, where's the place you hooked up, or a couple weeks ago, I did X, Y, or Z at that festival. I have been privy to many of these conversations.
Really?
Many people don't know that, but I should probably have a show and I should just hand out a card and be like, gotcha. Here's my number. You need help.
Please stop having these
conversations. Please stop acting like a fool. You look crazy. Yeah. For lack of better word. So, yeah, what I was saying before is watch the sex, drugs, and rock and roll talk. That's a good one, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, because it gives the impression you're either a party girl or a party guy. And that can be fine. That can be really cool. But also, you're letting people know that you're giving out some information that is very personal. Yeah. And it also puts you in a vulnerable position, because what if that person does do those drugs, or what if that person does feel like taking you home that night, or what if you are talking a lot about your past sex life? Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah,
No?
definitely, no, I agree. Anytime a girl started a conversation with me on a date about her sexual experiences, I 100% was like, yeah, she wants to have sex with me.
And what else did you see from that? Just that she wanted to hook up, right?
Just that she wanted to hook up.
So that's great that you were able to say that. When girls talk a lot about sex, and it can be in a funny way, that's fine. But when they're using their own experience, or even too much of the funny way, it says what?
Really, that's the only thing that they can talk about.
Talk about sex a lot. It makes you, in my opinion, look like that's all you're looking for.
Yeah.
And maybe some guys want that, and maybe some girls want that, right? Yeah. But if you're going out there and you're looking for something deeper, I would try and edit down the sexual innuendos and the sexual past conversation, even if that's you being authentic. Yeah. And you know, for me, I can talk about, like, I can be very lewd and I don't know what I can
vulgar.
Be vulgar is a great word. I can be with my friends, and that's me. But I also got to know my friends a little bit more before I started, dropping lines about particular things. So I think that it's important to get to know your audience, aka your date, before you start dropping, lines about how many guys you hooked up with, or the last place you had crazy hot sex, or what, drug you tripped on last weekend. Hopefully none, but there are people that talk about that a lot. And I've seen it within our age group where people have first dates and they are talking about this stuff where it's like a badge of honor, when in reality, it makes you look super insecure. Yeah. Do you have any other hobbies besides getting effed up?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, it becomes if you're like having a date and the only common denominator is that you both have had sex at some point in your past, probably, that's not really a confident, way to go about dating.
I think the other thing people ask me a lot about, and you can probably speak to this too, is when you have these like lulls in the conversation, or when you're like, what am I supposed to talk about on this first date? Because you want to bang that girl, or she, or I'm like, oh dude, I just really want to hook up with this guy. And you probably, and I'm using air quotes, shouldn't. How do you get to know this person a little bit deeper, and what questions are you supposed to ask?
Right.
So what are some questions that you ask?
When I'm on a date, I get all the small. So what do you do for a living? Like, tell me about your job, because I'm actually genuinely curious about what people do.
Sure. And it makes us, for the receiving end, I want to know that someone's interested in what I do. Sure. Even if I'm not doing something that's super awesome at that time, it's nice to, what do you want to do, I think is a good question too. Like, when you grow up, what do you want to do when you grow up? Even though we're grown up, but like, is this seriously what you want to do for that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, true. I usually ask someone if they've traveled, like, do they travel? Do they travel? Have they traveled recently? Mm-hmm. Things around that, because if they have a story, and if they haven't, they'll tell you about where they want to go, or like things like that. So I always ask questions that don't, basically no yes or no questions. Like, so, if they can answer yes or no and end it, then no.
So on the second date, I think it's super important then to pick up on where you left off. And I'm not kidding you. If you have to write in your iPhone or your Android on your way home,
I used to do that, actually.
Things that you learned about that person, that's important, because I've been on second dates where they'll be like, so you volunteer at the animal shelter. I'm like, I think that was a different date. Immediately big turn off. Yeah. And not that I don't, I actually don't, but I would. It's a great idea. But if they get my stuff wrong, I'm like, okay, you're clear. It's okay if you're dating a bunch of people. That's totally fine. But just be like on it, man.
Just remember.
You can say, I don't remember what you do you were telling me like to do things, what are some of your hobbies? I don't remember exactly what you said. I want to remember though. Genuineness. Hello. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. That's great. You're asking me because you don't know. I'm explaining something to you, which makes me feel good. And you're learning something about me. Even if you don't really care, it makes me feel good. Yeah. No. Right? So I think that's picking up on what you left off, making notes if you have to, and asking them, more deeper questions about, like, where was your favorite place to travel? Like you said, when you're growing up, did you go to camp? What'd you do? Things like that. Yeah. The reason why that's important is when you ask about someone's childhood, tap, tap, you're getting into the ego a little bit. You're getting deeper into the subconscious. You're getting this person a little bit more connected to you because you're talking about things that aren't in the now. Yeah. FYI. So if you want to get in someone's pants, well, there's ways to do that. But asking them questions about, like, not like if their parents are still married or anything super deep, but like, where was your favorite place to go? Yeah. What was your favorite travel experience when you were a kid? Or what was your, something like that? Yeah, make it sound cool, D. Come on, that's so generic. Where's your favorite travel experience? That's exactly. No, you would never say that. Come on. What was your favorite thing? I might say, oh my God, when I was growing up, I actually used to have this. This was a good line I had, by the way. I'd be like, so, and it says a lot about a guy or girl. So when you were the Disney movies are super creepy now that we're adults, right? they kind of are. Now that we're watching them, right? I'd be like, so when you were little, like, what were your favorite movies to watch? Or, like, what shows were you into?
Yeah.
Okay, who doesn't want to talk about their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like,
Obviously.
their obsession, or their, you know, Alice in Wonderland?
Planet.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You know, favorite Disney movies. But it was such a fun conversation to have with people, and you could get to know them a little bit more, like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that movie with my grandpa, and like blah, blah, blah. And you get into deeper conversations. And plus, you guys can always, you know, tell me thank you after that, because it gets people going back into their subconscious from stuff that they haven't thought about in so many years. And they feel more connected to you when they can do that.
Oh, that's why it's a good strategy.
Yes, Emily's going to get you laid. Okay, wait, don't call me on that.
Emily will get you to have better conversations on
Emily
dates.
will get you to feel more confident and get more, have a better rapport building experience on dates. How about that?
Wow,
so talk about Disney movies and TV shows that you would like when you were a kid.
That's actually really good.
It is a good one, right?
I don't think anyone's ever told me that. You completely...
Blew your mind there.
You blew my mind.
Oh, yeah, and I have a dog. Hold on. This is important because I'm a girl and I have a dog. And I would talk about the dog a little bit on dates, but never, and I'm telling you this to be truthful, because I have met guys who have dogs or cats or fish or gophers, and they'll talk about it a lot, or a ferret, right? That's
illegal in New York City.
Yeah, it's, well, that would be illegal in my book too. No offense to all you ferret lovers. I just think it's kind of, for me, it's not something I'd like to wake up to. I learned that I needed to edit my obsession with my dog. And this is true because the guy may not meet the dog, number one. Number two, I don't want to make it just continue to go back to dog pictures or things like that when I'm uncomfortable. Not that that's what I necessarily do. I want to see a video of my dog. It wasn't like that, but I've seen people do that.
Dates,
and I've been on dates where people are like, oh my gosh, do you have a dog? I have a dog too. And it all of a sudden turns into this conversation where I feel like I'm at a dog park and I'm not at a bar with an attractive person. So kind of be like, yeah, I have a dog, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe the second date you show the videos. But again, kind of keep it as like a side note, even if it's, you know, the love of your life and you have a mural of them at home. Keep it on the down low on the first and second date, because it makes you look a little bit like you don't have anything else going on in your life, and it's not very attractive.
The mural of your dog.
It's not a mural. It's not a mural. It was a painting. The money went to some animal haven thing. So.
Shelter.
Yes.
All right. I think that's it.
You can tweet us at GuidanceGirlM and
Indifferent_D.
And we'll be doing this again, hopefully.
Yeah.
Dating advice from he said, she said. No? What's it? She said, he said.
She said, he said.
She said, he said?
Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
I cannot.
I can't either.
All right.
Okay, talk about Disney on your first dates and second dates, and maybe you'll get laid.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
All right, and good luck out there. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Tao of Indifference podcast. If you liked this episode and want more sex, dating, and relationship advice, subscribe to the Tao of Indifference on iTunes or Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at indifferent_D and check out the blog at taoofindifference.com for more sex, dating, and relationship advice. Thank you for listening and good luck out there.